Hi guys, it's JoJoBA. This is going to be a double review slash summary of two episodes, which was the previous episode last week and today's episode. Last week's episode was Lovers Part 1, today's is Lovers Part 2. So I'm going to do my review slash summary. So let's start with Lovers Part 1, which was episode 16, last week's one. I'm sorry I didn't do it last week, but the work problems again. Jesus Christ, they just pop up from nowhere. But now it's all good, I've got some time off. Yeah! Okay, so we're going to move into basically everything. As always, got my notes, got the book here, so I'm going to go through and explain stuff. So, first thing, there was the first scene. When it starts up, everyone's like in a buggy. It's not really a buggy per se, it's more like it's kind of like an open top car semi kind of thing, but they did a buggy for this, which is really weird. And then when they meet Steely Dan for the first time, when he's hidden and you don't know he's Steely Dan, they got a kebab, and it's kind of like turning in like a 3D manner. It's not 3D, but it's got like a 3D kind of like animation to it, which is pretty cool. You know, they did that for the first episode in Jotaro's cell, where they had things that are like semi 3D. You know, it's pretty cool. Then there's a part where they're talking, and what it's supposed to be is Joseph is supposed to be in his mind talking about kebab prices, and he's like, well, I think I can do this, I think blah blah blah. But in this, they actually have the narrator do it instead of Joseph. So the narrator's like, Joseph is thinking about these prices. He thinks it's too big. He thinks it's too small. Like most men with their penis. Anyway, so on to the next part is basically Steely Dan appears, which is the guy I tried to sell him the kebab, which I thought that was really weird to put him in. And he does his first famous pose, which is this pose here. So as you can see, he takes his clothes off in a really cool way, and that's Steely Dan right there. I think that's a really cool pose. I'm a really big fan of that pose. Another thing is that in the anime, as you see, he's got like spiky hair. It goes like, you know, like that. It basically looks like Shadow the Hedgehog, you know, from like Sonic games and stuff. But as you can see in the actual manga, he's got wavy hair. We'll see more about it, but basically his hair is all wavy. It always is. And so it's like, oh, okay, yeah, fair game. I don't know why I changed it. Maybe it's difficult to animate, but I wouldn't say that because everything's awesome in the thing. Some other minor things. It wasn't too much for both of these episodes, really. I compiled it and it followed it exactly, so I'm just going to do the changes for both of these. Lovers is yellow. He's always been yellow, but in this he was like more of a darker yellow. No changes really, I just wanted to get onto that. And then when the first commercial starts, it's after Steely Dan smacks a kid, and he goes into it, and then it comes back and it's like, oh, Steely Dan. But what is his stand? Basically everything was exactly the same as it was in the manga. That's why I'm speeding through this part. It was a good episode. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't amazing. My kind of review on it is that it was by the books. Some minor changes, some minor extracts, but nothing too crazy. You know, it didn't go out of the way. It fit how it was, but it wasn't anything too special. So. It was a good episode, really enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, wow, kind of episode, you know. So anyway, let's move on to the next episode. I'm sorry, that was like, you know, like under 5 minutes or something, but, you know, there wasn't much to it. So, I'll show you one thing that I've actually put here. So, what happens is, as you know, Joseph has got lovers in his ear, and it's basically gone into his brain. And he's making way for the, I don't know what you would call it in English, but it's called Nikonome in Japanese. I'm sorry, I don't read English JoJo, so I wouldn't know. But the thing that they put there that basically bulbs into the skull, it's called Nikonome, which basically, if I were to be the translator, it would be like the meat. It would be like a brain controlling device, basically. Anyway, let's not talk about that because that's not translations. Anyway, so like I said, you actually see them by the TV. That's an extra scene. It's not in the manga. You actually see Polnareff like, oh, this is not bad. We've got to move from here. Because in the actual thing, they just get a bit, you know, basically he's getting his back scratched by Steely Dan. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. And Kakuen's like, oh no. And they're throwing money. Thinking like, oh, poor old man, we'll give him his money. He needs it more than us. And Polnareff's like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. And what you don't see is it goes straight onto Jotaro right here, It goes into Jotaro right here with Steely Dan. Whereas in this, they actually like pick, they actually pick the TV and go, how much for the TV? I'll pay the TV. Then they run off. And there's like a mini scene where he gets the Hermit Purple. He sits down, does the Hermit Purple, which you do not see as well. Once again, I thought that was a great scene to add because it basically looks like they stole the TV. So it just shows like, hey, we bought a TV, yeah, like that. Pardon me, sorry. Basically everything's the same. They go into the battles, and you got the Kakyoin versus, you know, like a fake Kakyoin appears. It's like, who are you talking to? Turns around, starts melting. That wasn't Kakyoin. So it's kind of like he has that extra power that allows him to transform, but he only uses it once. It's like, yeah, I would use it more than once, you know. As I flip through the manga, oh, that falls up. He says his famous lover's famous catchphrase, which is motomo 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 motomo. I can't be bothered to do it. Motomo oroshi magi, like that. And basically that just means like the most dreadful. Like, I'm the most dreadful. I'm history's worst. I'm history's strongest, kind of thing. Magi, and magi is just what he says. That's just like his thing. It's pretty cool. I like it. There's a few of these. I won't go through it in the manga, but you'll notice that basically there are points in the whole of this anime. I've looked into it, watching prior episodes, and basically when there are some places where they have thought bubbles, okay? For example, if I show you right here, here's one for example. Now Steely Dan may have his mouth open, but it's a thought bubble. As you can see, it's a thought bubble, but he actually says it. Polnareff does this previously as well, in that part I showed you, where he's actually like, he's actually thinking, oh, I'm so embarrassed, but he's actually saying it in the anime. So I thought that was a bit weird, but it's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's just a bit weird because it's from thought bubbles to talking. Now there is something new which I will show you, which is on this part. Now, when Kakyoin attacks him and uses Emerald Splash and blows open his head to do some damage on the real version, he goes, Yatta! And then it goes into, you know, Steely Dan getting injured. And then when you go to the next page, it's basically him, like, instantly digging, and then he escapes out of Joseph's ear. Whereas in the anime, they added a new scene where they're like, we had like, do it, Joseph, and he goes like that, and he goes, overdrive! And he uses his overdrive, you know, he uses Hamon, and he uses the Hamon overdrive, and basically destroys the Nikonome, like, breeding spot, like, cleaning spot, I guess, and yeah, and then he flies out the ear. So I thought that was pretty cool because, you know, you get to see him use overdrive because he rarely uses it in the manga. So I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. I enjoyed that. And the very last thing I will show you, because it goes on, also the oda goes on for as long as the manga, because look, let's have a look. Ready? So he goes for the punch there. It starts like that, and then he says his one of his famous catchphrases, where he writes on the piece of paper and he goes, "Here's your receipt," and he throws it at him, and that's when the episode ends. Now, like I said, the first episode didn't have much to it. It was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. But it was like, you know, it wasn't like amazing. It was like by the books, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I would prefer it by the books. I mean, you know, the other the anime. Anyway, will be a video on that soon enough. The review for this one, it was much better. They added some few things I like. This is much better than the other episode. The here's your receipt thing was in it, which is awesome. The oda was done very well. The art as always is amazing. They added a few things, including Magi, and the voice was done very well as always. That was a very good episode. I would rate that a lot higher than episode 16. That was part 1. That was part 2. Brilliant, great job. Also, the next episode, as you know, it features the sun, and the episode 18 is called Sun. Yeah, looking forward to that, as always, next week. And before I finish, I just want to say that from now on, I have like 2 or 3 weeks off from my old job. No job whatsoever. That's right, no job. Maybe I'll have an interview for other jobs or whatever, but for now, no jobs, and that basically means lots of time. And I've actually made a massive plan to do with this YouTube. I'm going to focus on this YouTube. I do have a holiday I'm going to, in which there may not be a JoJo review episode, which is in about 2 weeks. But when I return, there will be a review, like straight away, literally straight away. But I will have something even better than a review for you. Also, before then, which maybe it will start in middle of next week, I'm starting to do some editing on my videos, and I have a lot of videos. I'll do an update video this weekend to explain what I'll be doing, so hopefully you guys can tune in. So anyway, thank you very much for watching the episode. I love watching both the episodes. I really thank you for watching these. I'm doing a massive update to this channel. Seriously, a massive update. I've really been thinking about it for the last couple of weeks, and I've got so much planned. So anyway, thank you for watching this. I'll see you next time. Button press done. Miss.